The wind tore across the cracked streets, carrying sleet that stung like knives, shaking shutters and rattling tin roofs. A 6-year-old girl crouched on the frozen doorstep of a small corner store, her brown hair tangled and wet, her thin pink dress ragged and soaked, clutching a faded scarf she had stolen from home. In her arms, a newborn baby brother shivered beneath a frayed blanket, eyes squeezed shut against the cold. The girl's lips trembled as she whispered through chattering teeth, "Please, let me pay later, just this once." From the shadows, a pair of boots crunched in the icy snow. A soldier emerged, camouflage coat dusted with frost, eyes scanning the deserted street before settling on the girl. Beside him padded a German shepherd, fur ruffled by the wind, ears pricked. The dog stopped first, lowering himself to the ground, tail wagging in a careful, protective rhythm. The girl flinched at the sound, tightening her grip on her brother and scarf, but the dog huffed gently and pressed his warm body against her legs, a silent promise of safety. The soldier lowered himself slowly into a crouch, his hands steady despite the shivering of the air and the tremors of memory that haunted his body. "Hey," he said softly, voice roughened by years of shouting over gunfire and dust. "You're safe. You're not alone. Before we begin, let me know where you are watching from. Leave your country name in the comments below. And if you love stories about courage, loyalty, and community, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next stories." The girl's wide, tear-filled eyes darted between the man and the dog. She pressed her brother closer against her chest, whispering, I just need milk. Please, I'll pay later." The soldier nodded, his jaw tight. He reached into his coat and pulled out a small, insulated bottle of milk, warm from his pack. He knelt carefully, extending it toward her. The dog shifted closer, nudging the girl's arm as if to encourage trust. She hesitated, voice shaking. I don't want to get in trouble." The soldier shook his head slowly. "No trouble here. Just drink, both of you." "You need it." Reluctantly, she held the bottle, tilting it for her baby brother. Tiny hands trembled, but he began to suck eagerly, letting out a soft whimper that told her he was comforted. The girl's tears fell freely onto the scarf, her relief mingling with exhaustion. The dog lay down beside them, resting his chin on the girl's knee. The soldier observed silently, scanning the dark street beyond, noting shadows in the windows, the distant hum of a car engine. His eyes flicked to a boarded doorway, imagining the dangers that might lurk behind it. The girl whispered again into her brother's ear, holding him close. "If I'm good, maybe he'll stop. Maybe." Her words trailed into a shaky silence. The soldier's chest tightened at the whisper. He could feel the weight of all the children he had failed to protect, all the promises broken, the nights when he couldn't save anyone. His hand rested lightly on the dog's back. The dog nudged him, sensing the storm of memory rising. The girl glanced up, eyes wide and fearful. I don't want to go back." The soldier's hand tightened around the strap of his pack, knuckles white. "You're not going back," he said firmly. "Not tonight. Not ever." The dog shifted again, nudging the girl toward the soldier, his warm body bridging the gap between mistrust and safety. Suddenly a shadow fell across the cracked snow in front of the store. A man's voice called, rough, slurred, angry. "Where's the girl?" "Give her here." The girl's small hands trembled, clutching both her brother and the scarf. She pressed closer to the dog, who growled, teeth low but sharp. The soldier rose slowly, careful to shield the children. His voice was calm but full of authority. "She's not going anywhere with you." "Step back," the man cursed, moving toward them. The dog's hackles rose, ears forward, a low growl vibrating like a drum in the cold air. The soldier's hand brushed the barrel of his sidearm, ready but not yet drawn. The girl whispered into the scarf, barely audible, "Please, don't let him take us." The soldier flinched, not at the man but at the memory the words triggered. the slam of a door, a scream across a battlefield, the helplessness he had carried for years. He blinked rapidly, grounding himself, gripping the scarf she clutched in one hand, the strap of his pack in the other. The man took another step. The dog lunged forward, snarling as the soldier stepped between the children and the threat. Snow whipped around them, mixing with the girl's tears, the baby's soft cries, the wind. And in that moment, the girl pressed her face into the teddy she held under her brother, whispering in a voice cracked and trembling, "Please, don't send me back." The wind had softened, but the air remained sharp, biting through the thin layers of fabric the girl and her brother wore. The soldier led them down a narrow alley between boarded-up storefronts, the snow crunching beneath his boots. His German Shepherd K9 padded just ahead, nose low, ears pricked, alert to every shift in the shadows. The little girl clutched her brother tighter, wrapping one arm around him and the other around the worn scarf she had held since leaving the house. Her eyes flicked nervously to every darkened window, every icy step, as if danger could leap from the walls themselves. A distant engine growled, breaking the silence. The soldier froze, fingers tightening on his pack strap. He signaled the dog with a subtle hand movement, and Rook moved in a tight circle around the children, forming a living barrier. The boy stirred in his sister's arms, letting out a faint whimper. "Shh, it's okay," the soldier whispered. "We're almost to somewhere safe." The girl's lips trembled. "He's going to come after us, isn't he?" The soldier shook his head slowly. "Not if I can help it. Not tonight." The alley opened into a small, snow-covered courtyard. Rusted benches lay broken beneath thick snow, and a fountain had frozen solid, its waters trapped in crystal spikes. The soldier scanned the perimeter. No movement yet, but he knew the streets were empty for a reason. Someone, or more than one, was watching. He lowered himself to the children's level. "Listen to me. Your brother stays close. Hold on to his blanket. Don't let go of each other. Rook stays with us." The dog nudged the girl's arm with his nose, reassuring, protective. The little girl nodded, gripping both her brother and her scarf, tears freezing along her cheeks. Suddenly, a door at the far end of the courtyard creaked open. A man's silhouette appeared in the light, spilling from inside, a tall figure with broad shoulders and a faintly familiar gait. The soldier tensed, recognizing the danger before the girl even spoke. "Please, don't let him take us," she whispered, her voice cracking. Rook growled low, chest vibrating with the warning. The soldier positioned himself between the children and the door, eyes sharp, scanning for threats. The figure moved closer, the snow crunching under boots. The girl's small hands clutched her brother's blanket, as if trying to anchor them both to safety. "Don't move," the soldier said firmly, voice low. "Stay behind me." Rook. The dog shifted slightly, lowering himself to the ground, ready to spring at the first sign of aggression. The man paused, recognizing the defiance in the soldier's stance. He sneered, but the soldier didn't flinch, every muscle coiled, ready for confrontation. The wind whipped the man's coat, making his approach slow, deliberate. The girl's eyes widened, and she whispered again, clutching her brother to her chest. "If we're good, will he stop?" The soldier's throat tightened. The question mirrored so many he had heard in his nightmares. Fear, desperation, innocence threatened by cruelty. He swallowed hard, but his voice was firm. "You don't have to be good, you just have to survive, and I will make sure of it." The man's smirk faltered as the soldier's hand moved slightly, signaling the dog. Rook rose on tense legs, ears forward, growling a low, controlled warning. Suddenly the man lunged. The soldier reacted instantly, pushing the girl and her brother behind him, while Rook leapt at the man's arm, teeth clamping tight. The man yelped, swinging wildly to shake the dog off. The soldier struck, body hitting his opponent with the precision of experience. The girl sobbed softly, hiding her brother's face with the scarf. "Please, don't let him take us." Rook growled, keeping the attacker pinned, just long enough for the soldier to shove him away. The man stumbled back, retreating toward the doorway, clearly frustrated. The soldier's eyes tracked him, every movement calculated. The courtyard was silent again, save for the children's quiet whimpers and the soft wind cutting through the open space. The soldier exhaled slowly, checking the girl and her brother. They were unharmed, but frightened. "Rook," the soldier whispered. The dog nudged the girl's arm gently, guiding her closer. The soldier knelt beside them, adjusting the scarf around the little girl's shoulders. "We need to move. Keep low, stay close." She looked up, eyes wide, tears frozen along her lashes. Where will we go?" "You'll see soon. Just trust me." "And Rook," he said, glancing at the dog, who sat faithfully beside them. The three of them, soldier, dog, and two children, moved through the snow-covered streets, careful to avoid any sign of the man who had nearly reached them. The girl held her brother close, murmuring protective words under her breath. As they turned a corner, a shadow moved along the wall ahead. The soldier stiffened. Rook's growl rose, low and threatening. The girl clutched her teddy and blanket tighter, her eyes darting toward the approaching figure. "Stay behind me," the soldier whispered, hand resting on the dog's head. The children froze, trusting the unspoken bond between man and dog, strength and loyalty guiding them through the storm of fear. The shadow approached, slower now, as if assessing the soldier's readiness. The girl's lips trembled. "Please, don't send us back," she whispered, voice barely audible. The soldier's heart tightened. He glanced at Rook, whose ears were forward, every muscle ready, and then back at the children. He didn't answer aloud. He only moved forward, drawing them into the safety of a narrow alley, hidden by snow-dusted crates and debris. The man stopped at the alley's entrance, growling under his breath, realizing his prey was no longer exposed. He retreated, muttering threats into the wind, but he didn't pursue. For now. The soldier lowered himself, checking the children's faces. "You're safe, for now," he said, keeping his voice steady despite the tremor in his hands. The girl's small whisper followed him, barely a thread of sound over the storm. I just want us to be okay." The soldier nodded, pressing the scarf tighter around her shoulders, holding his breath, knowing that tonight the storm outside and the storm inside had been survived, but the battle for trust and safety was only beginning. The night had fallen fully, the sky a heavy sheet of grey, pierced only by the dim glow of street lamps buried under drifting snow. The alleyways were empty, silent, except for the crunch of the soldier's boots and the soft paw steps of his German Shepherd K9. The little girl's arms were wrapped tightly around her baby brother, a tattered scarf pressed over their shoulders for warmth. Her eyes, wide and wet, flitted nervously from shadows to the soldier's face, seeking reassurance. They reached a narrow side street where an old social worker, Mrs. Langley, waited beside her aging pickup. She had been alerted by a neighbor about children wandering the streets in the storm. Her coat was thick and patched, and her hands trembled from cold, but her eyes held a warmth that the girl recognized immediately. The soldier stepped forward, careful to shield the children from the wind. "We need a place to warm them," he said, voice low but firm. "And some milk for the boy." Mrs. Langley nodded, her eyes scanning the surrounding streets. "I know a place, but it's not exactly open. Follow me and keep them close." The children's steps were small, shuffling, uncertain, yet guided by the soldier and Rook, who moved in a protective circle around them. The snow crunching beneath their feet seemed deafening against the stillness of the night, a rhythm that echoed the girl's fear and the soldier's cautious heartbeat. As they approached a small, boarded-up building near the edge of town, the girl whispered to her brother, holding him close, "It's okay. We'll be safe. Maybe." Her voice trembled but carried hope. Inside, the building smelled of old wood and cold, damp air. Mrs. Langley quickly stoked a small stove, flames flickering weakly, sending a warm glow through the room. The little girl sat on a threadbare chair, laying her brother in her lap and pressing the scarf around them both. The soldier sank into a corner, rifle across his knees, eyes scanning the boarded windows, while Rook lay between him and the children, ears twitching, every muscle ready to spring. The soldier noticed something in the girl's grasp, a faded teddy bear, its seams worn and torn. It was more than a comfort. It was a piece of her past, a tether to a life she barely remembered. He allowed himself a moment to study it, recognizing the fragility that mirrored the child herself. Outside, the wind howled, rattling the boards. A shadow moved past a frosted window. The soldier's muscles tightened, his hands brushing against the rifle's grip. Rook's growl rumbled low, a warning that danger was near. The girl noticed the tension and pressed her face against the teddy, whispering into its fur. "Please, don't let him find us. Please." Her small voice cracked as tears rolled down her cheeks. The soldier shifted slightly, leaning closer. "You're safe for now," he murmured. "I won't let anyone take you away." Mrs. Langley handed them 2 steaming mugs, one for the soldier, one for her. The little girl's brother fussed, and she gently rocked him, her hands trembling as she fed him the milk with a small bottle she had retrieved from the soldier's pack. The warmth seeped into the child, but the fear lingered. Minutes stretched into an hour. The soldier's gaze remained fixed on the windows, remembering nights on patrol, the crackle of gunfire, the cries of comrades lost. Every shadow, every sudden gust of wind triggered fragments of memory. His body tensed, but Rook's presence anchored him, grounding him in the reality of protecting these 2 fragile lives. A sudden knock at the door made the girl jump, clutching the teddy tightly. The soldier's eyes snapped to the source. Rook's ears pricked, a low growl vibrated from his throat. "It's me," Mrs. Langley said from outside, her voice hurried. "I had to make sure no one followed you here." "You can't stay long." The soldier nodded, rising cautiously. "We'll leave before dawn." "But they might be out there." His eyes softened as he looked at the girl. "Stay close to Rook. Don't let go of each other." The girl nodded silently, her small hands gripping her brother and Teddy with renewed determination. She sensed the bond between the soldier and the dog, a silent promise of protection, and for the first time allowed a tiny flicker of trust to take root. Hours passed. The storm raged outside, but inside a fragile calm settled. The soldier kept watch while the children slept in a corner. Rook curled protectively around them. Each creak of the building, each moan of the wind made him flinch, heart pounding with a mixture of old trauma and the relentless instinct to protect. The little girl awoke briefly, whispering to her brother, "It's okay. We're safe." Her voice was tentative, fragile, yet threaded with hope. The soldier heard it and allowed himself a faint, weary nod, knowing that the trust had begun, however slight. Suddenly, a distant sound, a car engine cutting through the snow, shattered the quiet. The soldier's body tensed, Rook alert instantly. The girl stiffened, clutching the teddy, whispering, "Not again." The soldier rose slowly, positioning himself between the children and the door. "Stay down." "Stay close," he whispered. The dog moved to the edge of the shadows, body coiled like a spring. A shadow passed the frosted window. A muffled voice carried across the snow, calling faintly, searching. The girl pressed her face into the teddy's fur, whispering again, "Please, don't let him find us." The soldier's hand rested on the dog's neck, grounding both himself and the children. He could feel the tension coiling, ready to strike. Outside, the storm masked movement, but he knew the danger hadn't passed. And as the night pressed in, the little girl whispered once more, voice breaking, "Please, I just want us to be safe." The soldier's eyes hardened, jaw tight. Rook let out a low, steady growl, warning any who might approach that these children would not be taken without a fight. The storm howled, and the small room, though warm, became a crucible of fear and fragile hope, the children clinging to each other, the soldier standing vigilant, the K9 ready to defend them all. Dawn had yet to break, but a grey light filtered through the frost-covered windows, casting the room in muted shadows. The little girl stirred, clutching her baby brother tightly to her chest, his tiny fingers curling around the frayed scarf she had held all night. Her eyes were wide, wet from sleep and fear, and she whispered softly into the blanket, "Please, don't let them find us." The soldier, crouched near the doorway, shifted slightly, eyes scanning the empty street beyond. His body ached in places he hadn't felt in years, knees stiff, shoulders sore, but the weight of responsibility pressed heavier than any physical pain. He glanced at the K9 who had risen to his paws, tail low, ears forward, every muscle alert. Rook's presence grounded him. It reminded him that protection was not just a memory, it was a living, breathing reality. "Stay close," he murmured to the children, his voice low but firm. The girl clutched her brother and Teddy, nodding minutely. The baby stirred, wailing softly, but she pressed a finger against his lips, shushing him with a quiet determination. Outside, snow drifted across the street, covering footprints, masking sound. But the soldier knew better than to trust appearances. Eyes trained by years in war read every movement, every shadow. The town seemed silent, but silence often preceded danger. A sudden scraping noise against the side of the building made him tense. Rook stiffened, hackles rising. The soldier's heart quickened, his hand moving to rest on the K9's neck, grounding both of them. The little girl froze, eyes wide, clutching her Teddy tighter. From the street a figure emerged, blurred by the swirling snow. The soldier moved slightly, stepping in front of the children, Rook at his side, low growl rumbling through his chest. "Who's there?" he called, voice steady but sharp. The figure froze, then shifted, revealing a familiar slouched silhouette, a man who had appeared before, whose intentions had never been benign. The girl whispered, trembling, "It's him." The soldier's eyes narrowed. He motioned the children to crouch behind the stove, placing himself between them and the approaching figure. Rook stepped forward, body low, eyes locked on the man. The man's voice cut through the cold air, faintly audible over the wind. "Come on, you can't hide forever." The soldier's jaw clenched. Every instinct screamed danger. Every memory of past failure tugged at him. He couldn't let history repeat itself, not with these two. Not tonight. He shifted, subtly signaling Rook. The dog moved closer to the children, positioning himself as a living shield. The little girl pressed her face into her brother's blanket, murmuring, "Please, don't." The man lunged suddenly, snow spraying as his boots slipped. The soldier reacted instantly, stepping forward, arms out, guiding the children behind him. Rook leapt, teeth bared, snapping at the man's sleeve. The figure stumbled back, a startled curse escaping his lips. The soldier's hand went to the strap of his pack, feeling the comforting weight of the bottle of milk he had brought the night before. He didn't reach for a weapon. His presence, steady and unwavering, was enough for now. The little girl's whispered words cut through the tension, fragile but determined. I want to stay safe. I want him to stop hurting us." The soldier knelt slightly, voice soft but resolute. "You're not going back. Not tonight. Not ever." "We'll get you to safety." Rook pressed closer to the children, his warmth grounding them, a bridge of trust between fear and protection. The man hesitated, frustrated, then stepped back into the swirling snow, retreating for the moment. The soldier exhaled slowly, listening to the wind and the children's uneven breaths. He adjusted the scarf around the girl's shoulders, the weight of her small trust pressing into him heavier than any backpack or rifle he had carried. Minutes passed in tense silence. The snowstorm continued, muffling all sound, yet the soldier knew vigilance could never waver. His eyes scanned each corner of the street, every shuttered window, every alley. Rook's low growl reminded him that danger was still out there, waiting. The little girl held her brother tighter, whispered prayers to herself and the teddy in her lap. "Please, help us. Help us get away." The soldier's mind wandered for a moment to the battlefield, to the cries of comrades lost, to the haunting silence of nights where innocence was destroyed. He swallowed hard, letting the memory anchor his determination rather than his fear. "Stay close," he murmured again, voice steady. The girl's lips pressed against her brother's blanket, eyes wide but focused, drawing courage from the presence of the man and his dog. A sudden sound, metal clanging against snow, made the soldier flinch. Rook stiffened, teeth bared. The little girl's whisper was barely audible. "Don't let them take us." The soldier placed a firm hand on her shoulder. "They won't. Not while I'm here, not while Rook's here. We will get through this." The shadow outside shifted again, closer now, testing the boundaries. The girl's tiny hands trembled, clutching teddy and blanket. Her voice, a faint thread of sound against the storm. "Please, I just want to be safe." The soldier met her gaze, understanding every ounce of fear packed into her small frame. He shifted, signaling Rook to stay between the children and the doorway, moving slowly to assess the man outside. The snow swirled, voices carried faintly through the night, but the children remained behind the stove, hearts racing, breaths shallow. Rook's body pressed against theirs, a living promise that danger would not touch them while he was near. And in that frozen room, with the storm battering the building and danger pressing at the edges, the little girl whispered one last plea, trembling and fragile. "Please, don't take us back." The grey morning light struggled through the thick cloud cover, painting the snow-covered streets in muted tones of white and ash. The soldier led the little girl and her baby brother down a side street, every step measured, every shadow watched. Rook padded ahead, nose low, ears twitching, a silent scout protecting his small charges. The children's breaths formed tiny clouds that mingled with the swirling snow. The girl clutched her brother tightly, scarf wrapped around both of them, teddy pressed against her chest. Her lips moved in a low, fearful whisper. "I hope we'll get milk today. I hope." The soldier glanced at her, jaw tight, remembering similar prayers whispered in dark places he had once known. His fingers brushed the strap of his pack, feeling the weight of a small bottle of milk and a few warm blankets. He knelt, eyes level with her. "We're almost to a place where you can rest," he said softly. Rook circled behind them, ensuring no one could approach unnoticed. A distant engine growled, the girl stiffened, eyes darting toward the sound. The soldier's muscles tensed, signaling Rook to maintain position. The dog pressed closer to the girl, pressing warmth into her legs, reassuring her silently. Ahead, a small market appeared, its windows fogged, a faint light glowing inside. The soldier gestured for the children to stay low. He moved cautiously, Rook keeping pace, scanning every shadowed alley. Inside the market, the clerk looked up from behind the counter, eyes narrowing at the sight of the wet, ragged children and the soldier. "Can I help you?" she asked, voice tired but kind. The little girl stepped forward, clutching her teddy. Her voice was small, almost swallowed by the hum of the fluorescent lights. "Please, can we pay later for the milk?" Her words trembled, echoing the desperation of the night behind her. The soldier moved forward slightly, hands raised in reassurance. "They're not here to cause trouble," he said softly. "Just some milk for the children, please." The clerk's face softened. "Of course. Let me get you a bottle." She moved quickly, returning with a warm bottle. The girl's baby brother fussed, and she held him close as the soldier handed the bottle into her hands. Rook settled under the counter, alert but calm, his presence a silent shield. The little girl's lips pressed to her brother's forehead as she fed him. Her tears were quiet, but each one spoke of a night full of fear, loss, and exhaustion. From outside, Footsteps crunched in the snow. The soldier stiffened, glancing at the doorway. A man's shadow passed the frosted glass, a familiar figure, tall, shoulders hunched, the stepfather. He was searching, patient and cruel, scanning the streets. The girl's lips trembled as she whispered, "Please, don't let him find us." The soldier stepped closer, positioning himself between the children and the doorway. Rook growled, low and steady, his body tense, ready to protect. The clerk looked uncertain, sensing the tension, but stayed quiet, helping the children to safety behind the counter. The man outside tapped the glass, jabbing a gloved finger. The soldier's hand rested on the dog's neck, grounding both himself and the canine, a silent communication of trust and readiness. "Stay low," he murmured to the girl, who pressed her face into the teddy, tiny hands trembling. The baby brother nestled close to her chest, warmth and fear entwined. The stepfather stepped back, muttering threats, frustrated that his prey had vanished inside. He lingered, scanning the street, before disappearing again into the storm. The soldier exhaled slowly, brushing snow from his coat. "For now, we're safe," he said. "But we need to keep moving before he realizes where we are." The girl whispered again, clutching both the teddy and her brother tightly. I want us to be safe." Rook pressed closer, nudging the children toward the door, guiding them with a silent, protective authority. The soldier followed, covering them, eyes scanning every shadow, every alley. They moved quickly through the snow-covered streets, ducking behind vehicles, crates and piles of drifted snow. Every sound made the little girl flinch, and the soldier's own memories surged. Gunfire, shouting, chaos. He pressed on, steadying himself against the rising panic. Finally, they reached a narrow side alley leading toward a wooded area at the town's edge. The soldier gestured for them to stay low. Rook advanced first, ears forward, scenting the air, leading the way like a silent sentinel. The little girl whispered into her teddy again, a plea and a prayer. "Please, let us get away." The soldier glanced at her, jaw tight. "We'll get through this." "I promise." A distant sound, a car door slamming, muffled in the snow, echoed across the silent streets. The soldier froze, Rook growled. The children huddled together, their breath shallow. The little girl's soft voice cut through the tension. I just want to be safe." The soldier's hand rested gently on her shoulder. "You are. For now, stay with Rook. Don't let go of each other." The wind howled again, snow swirling, shadows moving. The alley stretched before them, a corridor of danger and hope. The soldier, the children, and the K9 moved forward cautiously, every step a step toward survival and toward uncovering the truths hidden in the night. And as the storm pressed against them, the little girl whispered, barely audible, her words trembling through the cold air. "Please, don't take us back." The forest loomed ahead, trees coated in thick snow, branches bending under the weight like bowed backs. Every step through the knee-deep drifts made the little girl clutch her baby brother closer, the frayed scarf wrapped around them both. Her tiny arms trembled, and the teddy she held pressed against her cheek offered the only comfort she dared to feel. The soldier moved ahead, careful, boots crunching softly on the packed snow, his camouflage coat blending into the grey winter landscape. Rook padded a few steps in front, nose close to the ground, scanning scents, ears swiveling to every rustle of branches. The dog was the girl's silent reassurance. She pressed closer, whispering to her brother, "It's okay. Rook will keep us safe." Snow swirled in gusts that cut through their clothes. The soldier's eyes scanned the tree line, alert for any movement. He knew the stepfather would not give up, that someone would be following their trail. He glanced back at the children. The little girl's wide eyes were damp with tears, lips pressed into a line of determination. He reached into his coat and handed her a small flask of warm milk he had saved from the morning. The girl carefully tipped it for her brother, his soft, sucking noises filling the otherwise silent forest. She whispered, "Drink. We have to be strong." Rook suddenly stiffened, ears pricked. The soldier froze, signaling the children to remain still. A distant crunch of boots through the snow reached their ears, a sound too deliberate, too heavy. They were being followed. "Stay close," the soldier murmured, scanning the shadows. "And move quietly." The girl's lips quivered. "I don't want to go back. I don't want him to find us." He knelt beside her, brushing snow off her hair. "You won't. I promise. Rook and I are here. No one will take you back." They moved stealthily, winding through the trees, avoiding open clearings. The baby's whimpers reminded the soldier of all the helpless cries he had ignored or failed to protect during his years in combat. He pressed his lips together, blocking the memories and focusing on this moment. Every decision could mean life or death. A shadow passed between two trees. The soldier's hand brushed against Rook's neck. The dog growled low, signaling danger. The little girl froze, clinging to her brother. Her whisper was almost lost in the wind. "Please, keep us safe." Branches snapped ahead. The soldier stepped in front of the children, rifle loosely held, eyes narrowing. He saw a figure approaching through the snow, hood drawn, movements calculated. "Rook," the soldier whispered. The dog advanced, fur bristling, low growl vibrating through his chest. The figure hesitated. The snow swirled around them, muffling the sounds, but the soldier's trained ears caught every subtle step. Another rustle, a second figure emerging from the white haze. The children pressed closer, shivering, terrified. The soldier's eyes darted between the intruders and his companions. "Move," he commanded quietly, gesturing to a narrow path to the left, partially hidden by a fallen tree. The girl followed, gripping her brother and Teddy tightly, trusting him instinctively. Rook leapt forward, snapping at the nearest figure, who stumbled and cursed. The soldier fired his rifle once, not to kill but to warn. The snow masked the sound, and the pursuers faltered, realizing they were being hunted. The girl's voice broke through the wind. "Daddy, I hope someone will help us." The soldier's heart clenched. He couldn't tell her that many had chosen to look away, that silence had often been safer than intervention. He only tightened his grip on the baby's blanket and moved forward. The path narrowed into a small clearing. Snow blanketed everything, muffling movement, but it also left them exposed. The soldier crouched, scanning for escape routes. Rook circled the children, body tense, ready to spring. From the edge of the trees, a figure suddenly lunged. The soldier pushed the girl and her brother down just in time. Rook intercepted, teeth flashing, pulling the intruder back. The snow erupted in chaos. The girl pressed her face into the teddy, whispering, "Please, don't let them take us." The soldier fired a warning shot. The remaining pursuers hesitated. Rook growled, forcing them back. Snow kicked up, whipping the children's faces. The soldier grabbed the girl and her brother, pulling them toward a narrow embankment leading down to a frozen stream. "Go! Stay with me!" he shouted. The intruder's footsteps followed, slower now, cautious. The soldier's muscles ached. Rook's legs burned from leaping and guarding, but neither faltered. He guided the children carefully, each step deliberate, avoiding ice patches and hidden obstacles. Finally, they reached a small hollow under an old tree, a natural shelter. The little girl pressed her brother against her, whispering prayers under her breath. "Keep us safe. Please, someone." The soldier crouched beside them, checking their warmth, scanning the tree line for pursuers. "We'll rest here briefly," he murmured, "but we must keep moving. They won't give up." Rook lay close to the children, a living barrier as the storm continued to howl around them. The girl pressed her lips to her brother's forehead, whispering again, her voice quivering. I just want to be safe." The soldier's hand rested on the dog's back, grounding both of them. The snow swirled in the clearing, a white wall around them, masking their tracks but not the tension that pressed against their hearts. And as night fell heavier, The little girl whispered again, barely audible, a plea threaded with exhaustion and fear. "Please, don't let them take us." Back. The sky overhead was a slate grey, heavy clouds pressing down as snow swirled in thick curtains, stinging faces and freezing limbs. The soldier moved quickly through the narrow path leading from the woods to the abandoned truck stop on the outskirts of town. His boots sank into the drifts, each step careful, calculated. Rook padded just ahead, nose low, scanning for any scent of pursuit. The little girl clutched her baby brother, the frayed scarf wrapped around them both, and held her teddy bear tightly. Her teeth chattered against the cold, lips trembling. "Please, don't let them take us," she whispered, barely audible over the wind. The soldier glanced at her, his chest tightening. "Stay close," he said. "Rook and I have you." He crouched slightly, scanning the snow-covered vehicles and crates scattered across the lot. The truck stop was silent, deceptively so, but he knew danger could appear from any shadow. Through the drifting snow, the dull rumble of an engine echoed. A large black truck emerged from the foggy distance, headlights cutting through the storm. The soldier's eyes narrowed. He knew instantly they had found them. "Rook," he whispered. The dog stiffened, hackles raised, and barked sharply. The little girl flinched, pressing closer to her brother. The truck slowed, then stopped abruptly, wheels skidding on ice. A man stepped out, broad and imposing, an unmistakable silhouette of the stepfather, eyes cold and calculating. Two accomplices remained inside the cab, faces obscured. The girl's whisper was frantic. "Please, don't let him." The soldier moved forward, positioning himself between the children and the approaching threat. Rook circled the children, body coiled like a spring, teeth bared. The wind carried the stepfather's voice, rough and cruel. "Get the kids." Now, no one interferes. Snow swirled around them as the soldier's mind flashed to the battlefield, gunfire, screaming, chaos. But he grounded himself, focusing on the present. He extended a hand to the girl. "Move. Stay low." The children scrambled behind crates, snow spraying in their wake. Rook leapt toward the stepfather, snapping and lunging, forcing him back. The accomplices emerged from the truck, but the soldier fired a warning shot, the sharp crack cutting through the wind, causing them to hesitate. The little girl held her brother tightly, whispering into his ear, "We're going to be okay. Just don't move." Her fingers trembled around the teddy bear. One of the men rushed forward, sliding on ice. Rook intercepted, jaws clamping onto the man's arm. The soldier lunged, striking another with a precise blow that sent him stumbling into a snowdrift. The stepfather cursed, realizing he could not reach the children without facing the soldier and his dog. The girl's voice was small but defiant, carrying through the storm. "He won't hurt us! We're not going back!" The soldier pressed forward, her words reinforcing his resolve. "Rook, hold!" he commanded, as the dog released one attacker, pivoting to intercept another. The baby whined softly, and the girl pressed him closer, whispering, "It's okay. We're safe. I think." The battle moved quickly, each movement precise. The soldier's body ached from years of combat, muscles straining, but adrenaline sharpened his focus. Rook moved seamlessly with him, every growl and snap protecting the children. Suddenly, one of the stepfather's men lunged from behind a snow-covered crate. The soldier reacted instantly, but in the chaos, Rook took a hit, yelping as a metal beam struck his leg. The girl screamed, clutching her brother tightly. The soldier froze, heart stopping. Then, without hesitation, he dashed toward Rook, scooping the injured dog into his arms, ignoring the bruises and snow cutting his skin. "You're going to be okay," he murmured, glancing at the children. "Stay behind me!" the stepfather roared, frustration boiling. He advanced, but the soldier planted himself firmly, rifle in hand, eyes blazing with resolve. "Back!" he shouted. Rook growled low in his arms, teeth flashing, signaling that the fight was not over. The little girl whispered again, barely audible over the storm. "Daddy's not dead." right? He's still out there. Her voice cracked with fear and longing. The soldier's hand clenched around the rifle, jaw tight. He's still out there, he said quietly. But right now, we survive. We protect each other. The stepfather hesitated, calculating, then motioned for his accomplices to retreat. Snow sprayed from their boots as they scrambled back to the truck. The soldier stood firm, Rook trembling slightly in his arms but alive, eyes locked on the retreating figures. The girl sank to her knees, pressing her face into the teddy, tears falling freely. Her whisper was raw and fragile. "Please, don't send us back." The soldier knelt beside her, brushing snow from her hair. "We won't. Not tonight, not ever." Rook nudged her gently, resting his head against her shoulder, a bridge of comfort and trust. The storm continued to howl, but in the small circle of soldier, dog, girl, and baby, a fragile calm settled. The soldier's eyes scanned the empty lot, muscles still tense, heart still racing, but the danger had passed for now. The little girl leaned against Rook, baby brother still in her arms. She whispered softly, I just want to be safe." Her words carried the weight of the night, of fear endured, of innocence clinging to hope. The soldier's chest ached with relief and lingering tension. He pressed a hand to the dog's head, grounding himself and the children. "We'll find safety," he said. "Together." And as the snow continued to fall around them, the girl whispered again, barely audible, her words carrying a fragile promise. "Please, don't let them take us back." The morning sun struggled to pierce the dense grey clouds, scattering pale light over the snow-covered landscape. The soldier trudged carefully through the drifts, Rook pressed against his side, still favouring his injured leg. The little girl clutched, her baby brother and teddy bear, scarf wrapped snugly around them, eyes wide with a mixture of relief and lingering fear. They had escaped the truck stop and the pursuing stepfather, but the night's events had left marks on their bodies, on their hearts. The soldier's muscles ached from the fight. Rook's breathing was heavy, yet steady, each exhalation a testament to survival. The children moved slowly, leaning on each other for warmth, the girl whispering small prayers into the scarf, her voice fragile but persistent. "Thank you. Keep us safe." The soldier guided them toward a small cabin on the edge of the woods, the door weathered but sturdy. Inside, a stove crackled, sending warmth into the otherwise cold space. Blankets were spread on the floor, and the girl laid her brother down gently, pressing her lips to his forehead. She clutched her teddy bear tighter, the frayed seams now a symbol of survival. Rook settled near the children, head resting on the girl's lap. The soldier kneeled beside them, removing snow from their clothes, his hands gentle, despite the bruises and frostbite creeping into his fingers. "Here," he said softly, placing the last bottle of milk into the girl's hands. "Drink. You're safe now." The girl's eyes welled with tears as she poured the milk for her brother, whispering, "We're safe. Finally." Her voice quivered, carrying the weight of the night's terror and the fragile hope she clung to. Outside, the wind continued to swirl, but inside the cabin there was a sense of stillness. The soldier's gaze lingered on the girl, seeing in her small frame the resilience that had carried them through the storm. Rook nudged her hand, and she smiled faintly, a warmth spreading through her chest for the first time in what felt like forever. The soldier's mind wandered briefly to the stepfather and the accomplices, their threats, their pursuit, their cruelty. But now justice would be served. The authorities, alerted by Mrs. Langley earlier, would arrive soon to secure the area. The children would be safe under proper care, no longer at the mercy of those who had sought to exploit them. The girl hugged her teddy, her brother, and pressed close to Rook. I feel safe now," she whispered, the words carrying a fragile certainty. The soldier smiled faintly, brushing a lock of wet hair from her face. "Yes," he said. This is home now. For the moment, you are safe, and no one can hurt you again. A soft knock at the door startled them. Mrs. Langley and a kind-faced officer stepped inside, their expressions a mixture of concern and relief. The officer approached the soldier first, confirming that the stepfather and his accomplices had been apprehended without further incident. Legal measures would ensure the children remained in safe custody. The girl's lips trembled as she looked at the soldier. Does this mean he can't come back? He nodded, placing a protective hand on her shoulder. He won't. You're safe. All of you. Rook shifted slightly, letting out a contented sigh. The girl leaned against him, feeling the steady rhythm of his breathing and the warmth of his fur. The soldier's heart softened at the sight, remembering the nights spent haunted by loss and failure. Here, in this cabin, he had been able to protect, to save, to give life a small measure of justice. The girl's eyes fell on her teddy, now ragged but precious. She whispered softly, "Thank you for keeping us safe, for letting me be good enough." The soldier knelt beside her, brushing snow from her shoulders. "You were always enough," he said. "You didn't need to beg, you didn't need to plead. You just needed someone to fight for you, and Rook and I did." Outside, the snow began to settle, sunlight breaking through the clouds in soft beams. Inside the cabin, warmth, safety, and quiet peace began to settle over the group. The girl tucked her brother close, Rook at her side, and the soldier watched over them, the tension in his shoulders finally easing. She pressed her lips together, whispering one last time, "I'm not lost anymore. This is home." The soldier felt a lump in his throat, a mixture of relief, pride, and quiet triumph. He glanced at Rook, who wagged his tail slightly, sensing the end of the ordeal. The storm, the pursuit, the terror. They had survived together. A small framed photo on a nearby shelf caught the girl's eye. Mrs. Langley had brought it from her office, a picture of a snow-dusted forest and a family laughing, warm and safe. The girl smiled faintly, holding her teddy tighter. She pressed a hand to Rook, then to the soldier. "We're a family now," she whispered, and the words carried more weight than the cold could ever steal. The soldier's hand rested on her shoulder, steady and sure. "Yes," he said quietly. "We are, and no one can take that away from you." As the snow outside glistened, untouched and sparkling in the morning light, the girl nestled against her brother and Rook, feeling the first true warmth of safety in her life. She whispered again, a soft, final promise to herself and to the world. "I'm not lost anymore. This is home now." The soldier smiled faintly, glancing down at the K9, then at the children, and exhaled, letting the weight of the long night fall away. Together, in the cabin, in the warmth and quiet, they had survived. Together, they would begin again.